The Acropolis of Athens, in its modern state, is a monument of pristine white marble. It evokes a sense of classical purity and minimalist beauty. This image, however, is a ghost. It is the 2,500-year-old skeleton of a structure that was once intensely vibrant. Ancient Athens in the 5th century BC was a city thrumming with life and, above all, a symphony of color. The stark white ruins are not what the ancients saw. A journey to the year 432 BC reveals the Acropolis not as a phantom, but as it was truly meant to be seen. To understand this marvel, one must consider the historical scene. The incomparable rise of Athens began in the mid-5th century BC, an era that would become known as its Golden Age. It was a period of unprecedented cultural and artistic flourishing, with the city led by the influential statesman Pericles.
Only a few decades earlier, in 480 BC, the invading Persian Empire had left Athens in ruins, burning the temples on the Acropolis to the ground. From those ashes, Pericles initiated one of the most ambitious building programs in history. His vision was to transform the Acropolis into a gleaming symbol of Athenian power, resilience, and cultural supremacy. This grand undertaking was funded by the treasury of the Dian League, an alliance of Greek city-states led by Athens. In 454 BC, Pericles moved the league's treasury from the island of Dos to Athens, granting him direct control over its vast fortune. Though his political rivals criticized this use of allied funds to glorify his own city, Pericles argued that as long as Athens provided defense, the money was theirs to spend. And so thousands of artisans, laborers, and craftsmen were employed to create monuments for the ages. The experience of the Acropolis for an ancient Athenian began not at its summit, but in the city below. The streets were not grand paved boulevards, but a labyrinth of narrow, unpaved alleyways between often modest mud brick homes. Yet the city was alive. The path to the sacred rock passed through the agora, the bustling heart of Athenian life. This sprawling open space at the foot of the Acropolis served as a marketplace, a political forum, and a social hub. Here merchants sold their wares, philosophers like Socrates debated with students, and citizens gathered to discuss the affairs of the day. As one began the ascent up the slopes of the Acropolis, the noise of the city would fade, replaced by a sense of reverence. This was the Panathenonic Way, the sacred path for the great procession held every 4 years to honor the city's patron goddess Athena. Looking up, the visitor would not have seen white marble. They would have seen the sun glinting off a complex of buildings shimmering with color and gold. Entry into the sacred precinct was through the Propylaea, a monumental gateway of breathtaking scale and complexity. Its construction, begun in 437 BC, was a massive undertaking, designed to create a worthy entrance to the wonders within. The structure masterfully blends two architectural orders. The grand, sturdy Doric columns on its outer facade imparted a sense of imposing strength, while the more slender, elegant Ionic columns lined the inner passageway. Passing through the central hall of the propyle marked a dramatic transition from the secular world into the divine. The ceiling was coffered and painted a deep blue, dotted with golden stars. To one side stood the Pinacotheca, a gallery that displayed paintings, one of the earliest known buildings designed specifically for showcasing art. The gateway, however, was never fully completed. The outbreak of the Peloponnesian War in 431 BC brought construction to a halt. Yet even in its unfinished state, it stood as a declaration of Athens' ambition and artistic genius. Emerging from the propyle, the full splendor of the Acropolis would have unfolded. The first sight to dominate the view was not the Parthenon, but a colossal bronze statue. The Athena Prakos, created by the master sculptor Phidias. This giant figure stood around 9 meters tall. She was depicted fully armed, her helmet and the tip of her spear glinting so brightly in the sun that sailors could reportedly see it from miles away at sea. It was a powerful beacon of Athenian military might, funded by the spoils of the Battle of Marathon. To the right of the path is a smaller, exquisitely delicate temple, perched on a bastion overlooking the city. The Temple of Athena Nike celebrates Athena as the bringer of victory. Built in the Ionic style, its elegant proportions and friezes depicting Athenian triumphs served as a constant reminder of the city's military success. Further on lies one of the most sacred and unusual buildings on the Acropolis, the Erechtheion. With its complex, asymmetrical design, it looks unlike any other Greek temple because it was built on a site steeped in mythology, housing multiple ancient cults. It was said to be the very spot where the contest between Athena and Poseidon for the patronage of Athens took place. Inside, ancient relics were housed, including a sacred olive tree from Athena and a saltwater well from Poseidon's trident. Its most famous feature is the Porch of the Maidens, where six beautifully sculpted female figures, the Chiadids, serve as supporting columns. And finally, the crown jewel and centerpiece of Pericles' entire program, the Parthenon. Dedicated to Athena Parthenos, or Athena the Virgin, this building represents the pinnacle of Doric architecture. Designed by the architects in Callicrates, with its sculptural program overseen by Phidias, it was constructed between 447 and 432 BC. It is a masterpiece of harmony and proportion. Built from over 20,000 tons of pure white pentalic marble, every aspect was meticulously engineered. The architects used subtle optical refinements, like a slight curve in the foundation, to counteract visual distortions and make the building appear perfectly straight and harmonious to the human eye. The building itself told stories. The outer panels, or metapiece, were carved with epic mythological battles. A continuous 160-meter-long Ionic frieze depicted the spectacular Panathenaic procession. The ultimate treasure, however, was housed inside the temple's main chamber. There stood Phidias's masterpiece, the Athena Parthenos. This colossal 12-meter-tall statue was made of gold and ivory. Her skin was ivory, her robes and armor crafted from over a ton of solid gold. In her outstretched hand, she held a statue of Nike, the goddess of victory. Before her, a shallow pool of water on the floor helped maintain the humidity needed to preserve the ivory, while also creating a shimmering reflection that filled the chamber with an ethereal golden light. This perfect architecture and its intricate sculptures were, however, just the canvas. The stark white marble admired today was never the intended final look. Ancient Athens was an explosion of color, and the Acropolis was its most vibrant expression. Scientific analysis has revealed traces of the pigments used: fiery reds, deep blues, vibrant greens, and rich ochres. These were not mere decorative accents. Color was an integral part of the architecture used to bring the stories to life. The background of the friezes and pediments was often painted a brilliant blue or red to make the sculpted figures stand out. Details on the sculptures, hair, clothing, and armor were picked out in vivid hues and even embellished with gold leaf. The Parthenon was not a monochrome monument, but a colossal painted storybook. Its tales of gods and heroes blazing against the bright blue Attic sky. Inscriptions show that the painters were considered just as valuable as the sculptors. Color gave the buildings life and conveyed meaning. The pure white associated with classicism is an accident of time, a ghost of a much more brilliant and lively reality. The golden age of Athens was fleeting. The Peloponnesian War bled its resources, and the city eventually fell from its position of dominance. Over the next 2 millennia, the Acropolis suffered damage from wars, occupations, and a devastating explosion in 1687 that ravaged the Parthenon. The colors washed away, the gold was stripped, and the statues were lost or removed. What remains is a beautiful, serene ruin, the ghost of Athens. Yet this ghost has a powerful legacy. The ideas born amidst these once colorful buildings, democracy, philosophy, drama, and art, have shaped the course of Western civilization. Seeing the Acropolis in its original vibrant form does not diminish its power, it enhances it. It resurrects a world that was not just intellectually brilliant, but also visually dazzling and intensely alive. It is a reminder that the past was not monochrome, it was lived in full glorious.